Welcome to Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. I'm your host, Brendyn Jones. As always, with Nithin Reddy. Nithin, the champion, Reddy. Nithin, the Indian Mamba, Reddy. Man, last time we talked here Wednesday, Nithin told us he had, 3 more games left en route to win the championship. And Nithin stacked 3 W's in a row to become the ARC Intramural League champion.
Is it called the ARC Intramural League?
I don't know.
You
got shirts, didn't you?
I did. I was actually going to wear it. It's just I wore it after playing, so it's very sweaty. And I wore it all of last night, too.
Love that.
So it's not – it's ripe. I'll say that.
It's ripe. But what does the shirt say? Does it say ARC Intramural Champion?
It says, Intramural Champions. But the weird thing is, it doesn't say a year on it. And there's, in the mural or whatever you'd say on the shirt, there's Alma wearing a U of I jersey. Okay. But it says 19. So it is weird. I'm like, is this supposed to be 2019 ones that they're just reusing? But that doesn't even make sense because they had 2019 intramurals. It's not like last year.
They missed the 2020 year.
Yeah. See, if it said 20, that would make more sense. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take anything that I can get.
Hey, man, you're a winner, man. It doesn't matter what the shirt says.
Thank you.
Walk me through it, man. Walk me through those 3 games.
Okay, well, I'll take you just through the playoffs because my legs last night were feeling the brunt of the week. Because the way they set it up this year, it was pretty weird how I guess part of it was they just wanted to get the season over with because it was kind of condensed. The entire playoffs was within a week span. Right. So Monday was the first game. Sunday was the last game. So Monday, Tuesday, we get 2 blowout wins, 29-point win, and then a 20-point win. But then Thursday was when the real test came. Okay. And Thursday, we're the number 8 seed. We're playing the number 1 seed. And
how did they do seeding?
So seeding, I think it was points for end record. So we were undefeated, but we had a forfeited game. So we only got credit for 1 point. Okay. Where the team we were playing played all their games. They were actually pretty good, though. I thought we'd blow them out when we saw them. We didn't have our 6'7" dude, but we still had a lot of great players, including our best player, who plays club basketball. Oh, okay. And we struggled.
It happened.
We struggled. I mean, we just never got in a rhythm. Our guy Adam, our best player, he really struggled. He had his worst game of the playoffs. I mean, he still had 17 points, but he took probably 20 shots. It was a bit of a struggle. And we like to run. We're just back and forth trying to get transition points, and they were slowing it down. So with 8 minutes left, they're just dribbling it out. They look like they're trying to
I hate that.
Dribble the air out of the ball. So we just have to start pressuring them try to get 5-second calls. They miss a couple shots, and with 5 minutes left, we get the ball. Transition, down 2. I have a layup to tie the game. I smoke it. And it was tough. It was one of those where everything was perfectly executed. We got the pass up. Then I was trailing the play. Perfect bounce pass. Easy layup. Right. I just smoked it completely.
That's tough.
So with 5 minutes left, I'm thinking, oh my God, we might lose this game. It's 41-39. We get a stop. We come back. Adam hits a huge 3. We're up by 1. So now they have to actually try and score. Now it's no longer just holding the ball. They miss their shot. We come back down. We get just a deep, not a deep 3, but a contested 3. Doesn't go in. I tip it out to one of our dudes.
Big time player.
Nails a 3. Name Andrew. Andrew, clutch 3. Come back down. And now it's 3 minutes left. I'm like, hey, let's hold it a little bit. Let's take some time off. And then I pass to Andrew, and he's like, you know what? No, Nithin, screw you. I'm going to take this 3. Deep 3. This is probably 25, an NBA 3. He nails it.
Love that.
He hits another 3 the next possession.
Oh, man, that's just demoralizing.
We end up winning the game 52-41.
Ooh. So
that was probably the best game, the most exciting game. The last 2 games on Sunday, kind of similar to each other, those 2 games. We had a small lead, 5 points, and we just pulled away at that. We won both games by 20 points.
Oh, man.
But, yeah, my legs were feeling it.
I feel you, man.
We played Well, I played 6 days out of 7. I only took Wednesday off. I stupidly played Friday and Saturday just because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And my legs after that first game were feeling it. My legs when I was trying to walk up the stairs in my apartment, it was tough. But I will take it for that championship.
So, Nithin, you played high school ball.
Yeah.
Did you play AAU?
Yeah, I did.
So you played high school ball, you played AAU. I assume you played in middle school.
Yeah.
And grammar school.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this accomplishment, this intramural basketball league championship, where does this rank in the pantheon of Nithin basketball accomplishments?
It's going to sound crazy, but it might be number one.
It has
because I'll give you a couple of reasons why. In middle school, we didn't play in a conference. In high school, I didn't play in a conference. So
how did you not play in a conference?
In middle school, I didn't really understand how the system worked.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I just play random.
Yeah.
In high school, I went to a private school and we had border students. So we had international students come in, and Illinois regulations say you can't compete for state if you have international students. Okay. And we'd often, we had kids from China, we had kids from Canada, we had kids from all over the world. So we couldn't ever compete for state. So, you're just not going to play in a conference.
Right.
So I never won a conference, any sort of championship, really, before this. So, hey, and I was our starting point guard. So, feels good.
You're up there, man. I love that.
Feels good.
Shout out to you, man. I'm so happy for you. So happy that we have a champion.
Brendyn, I'm really disappointed, though, that we didn't get to play.
I know. That's probably my biggest regret. I remember we lost that first game, the only game we lost, by 3 points. And I remember airballing a 3 in that game. And it haunts me to this day.
Don't let that haunt
We also missed probably
it's a 40-minute
15 free throws, and it was just a terrible game. We didn't play defense really well. But it's just tough because we had the same record as all the teams in our conference, and I just don't know how they figured.
Yeah, I wish they did playoffs in a better format because one of my friends in his first round game, he played an 0-3 team.
Yeah.
And they made it, I think, because just 2 other teams in their division had a forfeit. Mm-hmm. So, if that's happening, you should let teams like your team that went 2-1 and is clearly good enough to play in the playoffs make the playoffs. If there are teams with a worse record, that they just shouldn't get in.
Well, you are the champion. So if anybody has any pull with the ARC regulators, it's you.
I have absolutely.
I think you're underestimating how important that championship was.
Okay, I mean, COVID championship, we'll take it.
Hey, if LeBron gets one, you get one.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, for real. Shout out to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next intramural season probably won't be until the fall.
Yeah.
I assume I'm playing. I need to get my revenge.
Okay.
Need to avenge the system. It's not like anybody wronged me. It's the system.
I mean, they have wronged you.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, whatever. But
I'm surprised you're not doing flag football.
So here's my thing about flag football. No disrespect.
Whoa, okay. I don't like the start of this because I love flag football.
No. It's no disrespect to flag football. I'm disrespecting myself. I'm not the football player to play flag football. I feel like you have to be really agile, really, really shifty.
You were a linebacker, right?
I was a linebacker. I was mostly pass rush, and even when I was in coverage, I was more of a middle or a flat type coverage. I was never really chasing guys around.
You weren't a man guy.
I was not a man guy. To this day, I'm not a man guy. I play, turkey bowls, whatever. Not a huge man guy. Love the zone. Love the zone. I can do the zone. Cannot do man.
Hard flats. That's all.
Hard flats. And hooks. That's what I got. The curls. That's me. So flag football, it's just, if I went out there, I would get embarrassed by guys who are just really agile. That's how it happened. I remember in practice all the time in high school, there's this really good, we had this really good receiver. He was really short. He was maybe 5'7", 5'8".
Okay.
His name was Gabe Hernandez. Shout out if you're listening.
Did he play D1?
No.
Okay.
But he was the shiftiest guy I've ever seen in my life. And one time I remember, and this is, I'm a very sound, in all sports, defensive. My defensive stance is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I've never really been crossed, to the ground in basketball. Mm-hmm. I rarely get really messed up in football. But this, man, we were doing drills. It was just wrap up drills. He caught the ball. Kind of on a screen, and I was supposed to meet him at the line of scrimmage, wrap him up, and he hit me with the nastiest 2-step.
Ooh.
And do you remember when Steph Curry behind the back Chris Paul, and Chris Paul was on the ground with one hand?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was for me.
Oh, man.
It was embarrassing.
Okay.
This was my senior year of high school. I was like a defensive starter, and they just embarrassed me like this. So that's really the only time. But yeah, I'm not a man guy. Like,
yeah, and flag football is like a skill position.
Yeah, it's very skill position oriented. That's not me.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I could play on offense. Definitely not on defense. I could not keep up.
What would you play on offense? Wide receiver?
Yeah, probably like wide out or like some version of the flag football tight end.
Okay.
See, I'm not that fast.
Can you block in flag football?
I don't think so. I'm not that fast. I'm not that shifty, but I have decent hands and I can use my body well.
You got good size.
I have like good size for average people. Like obviously, I'm not a good size guy against, athletes, but against like regular people, I'm a bigger guy. So yeah, I mean, I've never really thought about playing flag football.
We should get like a DI flag football.
I'd be down.
Well, it would have to be a game because we don't have enough people for like a tournament.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing like 3-on-3.
True, but that's no fun. You have to have at least
5, I feel like.
I would say at least 5. 5 defenders and 4 receivers and a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait till next year. Try to get my redemption. I actually hurt myself this week.
Oh, really? What happened?
I don't hurt myself a lot when playing sports. Like I feel like I've never broken a bone. I had some back issues, but that's because I have a weak core because I don't do core workouts. That's what my chiropractor told me.
We can all relate to that.
So I was playing basketball on Saturday at Scott Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just shooting around. It was such a weird day. I met a homeless man who was a drag racer in Miami named Taillights.
Really?
Shout out if you're listening. It was wild. I don't know. I was shooting around by myself at Scott Park, and he came up, and he was like, I haven't shot a basketball in like 6 years, so I threw him my ball. We shot around, talked for literally 45 minutes.
Wow,
he told me his whole life story. It was wild.
I feel like that should be the show. Just hearing.
I can't say. I don't know how much of his story I'm allowed to say on air.
What do you mean by that?
He did a lot of illegal things.
Okay.
So I don't know how much of that I'm allowed to share on air. But if you're listening right now, Taillights. I called him Taillights. I did not ask for his real name. He didn't ask for mine.
I mean, just being called Taillights.
It's because he used to
name.
drag race, I guess, in Miami, and he said they used to call me Taillights because that's all they saw when I raced them. Which I feel like is from a movie.
So baller.
But anyway, met him, talked to him for about 45 minutes.
That seems like a Fast and Furious.
That's what I was saying. Like I was telling my roommates about it. I was like, that's got to be from one of those 18 Fast and Furious movies. But after I talked to him, this little kid came to you rarely see little kids on campus. Mm-hmm. He came. He wanted to play basketball with us. I threw him the basketball. He wanted me to chase him around the park. I'm not going to chase a 6-year-old around.
Yeah,
I'm a little too old for that right now.
And they got way more energy.
They have, and it just looks not cool that I'm chasing a 6-year-old. So I was like, if you want to play basketball, you can shoot, but I'm not going to chase you. Mm-hmm. That little kid kind of left. Taillights left, and luckily, because I wasn't planning on staying there for a whole hour, I was probably just getting some shots up, clearing my head, but then a game was about to break out, a little 4-on-4. So I was like, okay, like I haven't played a pickup basketball game in probably. I mean, outside of intramural, probably like a year now. Okay. And so we were playing, and this was in the second game we played. I shot a 3, missed it. We had a really tall guy. He tipped it back out to me. I caught it, split the defenders on the 2. I missed the layup, so don't say ooh.
I mean, hey,
split the defenders.
That should be the name of our show, just missing layups.
Missing layups. Split the defender, and jumped up off my left to the layup. And thought I got more air than I did. Tried to push the ball up there and landed not on the balls of my feet, but on my heel.
Yeah.
With all my weight.
I've had injuries like that.
And it still hurts to this day. 2 days later. I tried to ice it.
Is it foot pain?
Yeah, it's like back foot, in my heel.
That's tough because it hurts to walk.
Yeah, it hurts to walk. So I haven't walked a lot around. I can't really put all my weight on my heel yet. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But I don't know. I'm just nursing it, That's the life of athletes, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough for us.
Man.
Us athletes.
Us athletes. That's gonna lead us to our first break. When we get back, we're gonna talk about Illinois sports.
At some point.
some rumors that Trent Frazier might be a fifth-year senior coming back, and
maybe more than rumors.
Maybe more than rumors. How that'll look, how that'll affect the rest of the team when we come back on Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive on 107.1 WPGU. Senior Illinois guard, Trent Frazier, honorable mention, All Big Ten, and made the All Big Ten defensive team. Declared for the NBA draft. Oh, we kind of got to talk about a lot of people that had their decisions. We already talked about Adam Miller. Obviously, Ayo Dosunmu went on the NBA or the Jump, which is that NBA TV or is that TNT?
No, that's ESPN.
ESPN's the Jump. Declared for the draft in front of Rachel Nichols, in front of Richard Jefferson and Kendrick Perkins. That was really cool to see. Georgie Bishanishvili has declared for the NBA draft. Trent Frazier has also declared for the NBA draft. Now, these guys, just because they're declaring for the NBA draft does not mean that they are legitimate draft prospects. That could mean a lot of things. They could do what Ayo Dosunmu did last year, see if they have a chance to get drafted after a year or get signed. They could also just, forego the draft process or try to make connections and then play different professional basketball, whether that be in a different country, overseas, stuff like that.
I believe Ayo's the only one that's signed with an agent.
Yeah.
So he's
I think Trent Frazier signed with like an NCAA approved agent. If that makes sense.
Okay.
I feel like he said that he tweeted that out so he could keep his eligibility.
Oh, okay, I see. So, my point stands that Ayo's the only one that's for sure gone. And Kofi, I mean, we expect him to declare. He still hasn't declared.
Yeah.
He's probably going to declare as well.
But I expect him to do kind of the same thing as Trent and not hire a non-NCAA approved agent. Mm-hmm. I expect Kofi Coburn to do a lot what Ayo Dosunmu did last year, see if there's things that he can grow on, and if going back to college is worth it for him. He still has a month, 2 months to figure that out. Mm-hmm. So I would assume we don't have that information for a while. But Trent Frazier, he had declared that on, I want to say Friday, and then last night, Illinois writer for Illini Guys, Kedrick Prince, pointed out that according to Trent Frazier's father, Rodnell Frazier, he'll be coming back next year. Rodnell shared this information on the Ryan Evans podcast, not a podcast I'm familiar with. But yeah, he shared this information that his son would be returning to Illinois. Now, this obviously isn't confirmed with Trent Frazier with the team. But if his father says it, it kind of feels like it's a little bit more than a rumor, but not a certainty.
Yeah, I mean, it's in that weird sort of. So as I said before the break, like more than a rumor, but not finalized and not a fact yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're an Illinois fan, this is probably a good sign because it most likely means Trent Frazier will come back, which he's much needed for a team that's already lost Adam Miller and Ayo and could potentially lose Georgie and maybe Kofi if he declares.
Yeah.
So this would be a nice get. But, I mean, as we've said, like, how accurate this is still up in the air. I mean, the fact that his dad said it is a good sign. Mm-hmm. I just don't know whether that's just. I just don't know exactly what to make of it.
Right. I think it's a little premature, right? Because this would be different if some of these draft workouts had already happened. He's got to meet with some people. I don't even know if Trent Frazier has received invitations to these. But if that were the case, if he got to meet people around the NBA, around professional basketball, kind of figured, hey, I could go back and still chase my dreams of professional basketball after. But yeah, I think that it's a little premature because of that. But I do think it's something that's definitely a huge possibility for Trent Frazier. I mean, they get this extra year of eligibility. Trent Frazier was all Big Ten freshman team, if I'm not mistaken, when he was a freshman. He put up a lot of points. He got a lot of assists. And kind of had to reinvent his game with the inclusion of different offensive pieces into the team, and was able to kind of solidify himself as a really good defensive guard and somebody who could also score on the offensive end. Now, next year, losing Adam Miller, Trent Frazier could see his offensive production grow a little bit back to what it was when he might have been a freshman. And if he could, still be a huge defensive factor, I mean, you'd have to start giving him looks as maybe not an NBA prospect, but 100% a professional prospect somewhere. So I think one more year could do him a lot of good, but it could also do, like you said, the Illini a lot of good. I mean, they're losing, two guards, or one guard definitely. Adam Miller's...
two guards. Well, I guess
Adam Miller has the opportunity to come back.
Likely
I don't know
two guards.
Right, likely two guards. 100% one guard, 99% both of them. And you don't really have a lot of guard talent other than Andre Curbelo. So if Trent Frazier would come back, this would kind of round out this backcourt, a very experienced and a very talented backcourt of Trent Frazier and Andre Curbelo, but pretty small.
Yeah, but the good thing is that they're both great defenders.
Yeah.
Specifically Trent Frazier.
Yeah.
I mean, the concern with Trent Frazier in the NBA is that he's undersized, but in college, because he's such a great defender, it makes up for some things that the Illini try to do. The one thing that stands out of all this is that the timing seems very, very strange.
Yeah.
Because just 3 days ago, we were hearing about how Trent Frazier is declaring for the draft, and then yesterday you get this news that from his dad saying he's going to come back. I don't understand why his dad would do that.
Yeah,
because
weird.
You're kind of undermining Trent
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, or you're just wrong, which neither is good. And also, wouldn't you want to play this out a little bit so you can at least get in teams' radars?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing NBA teams aren't going to be really looking at him as much. Maybe I'm just making too much of this because I'm assuming he's coming back.
Right.
But it just doesn't seem like a smart move at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's a lot more to this draft process than just declaring. I think you have to figure out, one, is Trent good enough to get these invitations to these workouts, to these camps, to these combine type things. And two, if he is, you really want to go take advantage of it. I mean, we saw how well that helped Adesumu grow his game into being a pro prospect. I mean, he went from a guy who his sophomore year, a lot of people had maybe around picking between 50 and 60 in the draft, to now 20 to 35. A lot of people see him in. Obviously, Trent Frazier, I don't think will ever be a first round talent unless he just comes back next year and scores 30 a game.
He has to be an All-American type.
Yeah, he'd have. Yeah, and even then, he's kind of old and undersized.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that he, with his experience with his defense, couldn't sneak into the second round and become a solid G League type player or a solid, professional player overseas.
Yeah, or even go undrafted.
Yeah.
But be on teams' radars and get picked up, play in the summer league, have a great summer league, and become ninth man, sort of 3-and-D point guard / shooting guard, hybrid guard that could maybe play for 5 years in the league. There are opportunities for Trent Frazier to succeed, but part of it's going through the draft process, because while a lot of us, I think, see Trent Frazier and say, okay, you're undersized and that's going to be your biggest problem in the NBA, we don't know what the NBA wants from Trent Frazier. Maybe it's developing a role as a primary ball handler, because he was the secondary ball handler on this Illinois team. Mm-hmm. And while he's still probably the secondary ball handler, he might be the leading scorer on next year's team if he comes back. So I just think it's important that he does go through that. And that's why, some people think it's a sham to go through the draft process, but it's actually really good for these guys.
Yeah.
They learn a lot of information that's useful for their future careers. And, I mean, as you said, Io's a perfect example of how it can work.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Kofi, too.
Yeah, even Kofi. He was a lot more refined this year. He was I don't know if he really added much new to his game, but
he just got better at
what he was trying to do his freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
He even progressed really, I mean, this side note, but really progressed throughout the season.
Yeah.
I mean, his finishing ability outside of dunking, which he was obviously the best dunker or the most dunkiest. I don't know. He dunked the ball the most times in college basketball.
He had a lot of dunks.
Very, very, very dunky. But he also was able to finish when he wasn't able to dunk. He was able to get his hooks a little bit better, get his floater game just a little bit better. So like, yeah, there's obviously things you can improve on. So that's going to be a big thing to watch. What would you put the probability of Trent Frazier returning for another year if you had to guess right now?
So before I heard about this, I probably would have said like 30%, 25%, just because I assumed a fifth year. Like if he comes back for a fifth year and is pretty much the same player we've seen for the last 2 seasons, I don't really see him getting drafted.
Yeah.
But after hearing this, like 75%, like that, that's a good sign if his dad's saying it. It's not like just some random person in his quote unquote camp saying it. It's his dad who has intricate knowledge of what's going on with Trent and what he's thinking. Like they're having these deep conversations about his future career playing basketball. So yeah, I feel pretty good that he's coming back. Although we're just gonna have to wait on it.
If Trent Frazier decides to come back, June 19th, I think is the day. June 17th, maybe.
It's different this year, right?
Yeah, it's a little later than usual because the draft is also a little bit later. The draft is at the end of June, when usually it's in April. No, usually
it's usually in June.
It's June?
Yeah.
What was it last year?
It was like
August?
September?
Yeah, it was wild.
Wait, no. It was later than that because when did the NBA season ended in October, right?
Yes.
So it was like a week later or something like that. So like mid-October maybe.
So wild. But anyway, yeah, I mean he has a lot of time to figure that out. Obviously the NBA season is going longer than it would be in a regular year. Has twice in the last 2 years, so we'll see. But if Trent Frazier comes back, right, what does that do to guys like Kofi Cockburn, guys like maybe Adam Miller? I feel like Georgie, even though he's retaining his eligibility, I think he's gone. I think he looks around this offense and sees that he's a little bit older than his grade. He sees that there's not really a space for him to be like the guy he was freshman year. And also, I mean, like, you got to feel for this guy. He just misses his family. Has been away from them for 2 years now. He hasn't seen them in person.
Yeah.
So I would assume he tries to go play professionally in Europe, closer to home. What does Trent Frazier's return mean to, guys like Kofi Cockburn or maybe even Adam Miller? Does that change anything, do you think?
I think it affects Adam Miller a lot more than Kofi. I don't think really any move is going to affect Kofi, honestly, just because he's going to come back and he's going to average like 20 and 10 pretty much. Like you're not getting anyone that's better than him, frankly. And at least for a 1-year term. But with Adam, like I think it kind of solidifies that he's out the door because you're going to have to be the fourth option on a team next year. And we'll see if he even would be able to start with some of the guys that are coming in. And we don't know how the transfer market's going to play out yet because the Illini still have to fill, it's like 2 spots, I think.
Yeah.
Now, so my guess is, it kind of just puts the nail in the coffin on Adam Miller, which, I mean, he's probably not going to come back in the first place.
Yeah.
But I think it makes it almost like a 95% chance he doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Although I thought the same thing about Io last year. I thought he was for sure leaving, and then he came back because that was more of COVID and with the draft getting pushed back and him just realizing, hey, maybe this isn't the safest option. I should just come back for a year, be one of the best players in the country, which he was, and improve his draft stock. But yeah.
Okay. I just had another question, but it kind of just slipped out of my head. Oh, transfer portal. We've talked about multiple times that in the case that Kofi Cockburn returns, you feel confident about your center position. You feel confident about your wings a lot. But one thing that is kind of missing is that solidified guard rotation.
Yeah.
Are there guys that you're looking at in the transfer portal right now?
So there aren't specific guys, but I mean, there are like teams that seem interesting. And I think Texas Tech stands out the most.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I don't think you're going to get Mac McClung. Like, I just don't see any interest.
Also, I don't know if I want that. Not a huge fan.
Well, he was actually really good last year, though.
He was, but I also think, I don't know. I don't know if he's the guard you want around Kofi, considering Kofi's coming back. He's not a high assist guy. He's like a high scoring output guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And requires the ball in his hands a lot. This is kind of gonna just make what I just said sound stupid. How unlikely is Marcus Carr for Illinois?
Well, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are like Big Ten transfer rules, right?
Is there? Like, you can't just transfer them?
I know there used to be. Well, there used to be rules that like within conferences, you'd have to get approval from the other team. So like Minnesota would have to approve that transfer.
Think they would?
Which, I mean, I don't think they would. Like, why would you want to send your best player to another team in the conference?
Because he wants to? I don't know. Because he's good and I want him?
Yeah, I mean, maybe Minnesota's just okay with it because their team's getting gutted right now.
Yeah, they're going to stink next year anyway. But that would just be...
Well, would you rather have Marcus Carr than Mac McClung? Because for me, like, they're pretty similar in the sense, like...
Yeah, but I think I like Marcus Carr better than I like Mac.
See, I like Marcus Carr driving and getting to the rim, but Mac McClung showed what a great shooter he is last year, which I didn't think he had up until a season ago. I think it's kind of like pick your poison. Like you're gonna like either of them would be great. I just don't think really either of them are that attainable.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that's kind of like the what is it, a pipe dream? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't dove deep into the transfer portal, but I know this has been because of the rule change. The transfer portal has kind of exploded this year. There's a lot of talent out there, and Illinois really needs to kind of figure. Even if Trent Frazier comes back, you need to have supplementary guys. I mean, like you think about.
You don't have a backup point guard right now.
Yeah, you think about for instance, like Andres Feliz, some guy that you got from JUCO, was so impactful to this team.
So big.
His 2 years, especially his second year when he was here, so good on defense. Knew the offense really well, rarely made a mistake, was able to score when you weren't there, or when you were having struggles. So you need to go out there and get some guard that you feel comfortable either starting or, being on the bench. In the case that even, Trent Frazier doesn't come back, because then you're really down to one ball handling guard. Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah, it's a concern now, but I think we're way too early.
Yeah.
In the off season. I mean,
100%.
We have, I think, like 200 days till the season starts, something like that. So,
yeah.
I mean, if this is the rotation in August, I'm going to be concerned.
Right.
But not until like June will I really expect anything. I mean, I'm glad we got a Marpain that fills a hole. It helps a lot considering the backup center was it was a weird position last year because Georgie filled it, but he's really more of a power forward than a center. But I don't know. I'm a little cautious. I'll take my time. I'll wait this out. What about you, Brendyn?
No, I'm not concerned any more than I was before. I mean, like, in terms of record-wise, I just don't think the next year's team can be as good as this year's team. You're losing, a top 2 player, I would say, in the nation from last year.
Yeah.
So that's obviously going to hurt. And you have the opportunity of losing a top 5 player too with Kofi Coburn.
I'd say top 10.
You say top 10?
Top 10.
Maybe I'm a little just biased, but yeah, I mean
that's second.
An All-American. An All-American. In Kofi Coburn, you have the opportunity to lose that. Anytime you do that, it's going to hurt your program, right? Yeah. And there's no person right now you look at, whether that's coming in as a recruit or that's in the transfer portal, that you're like, they can replace that amount of talent. So this team is obviously not going to be as good, but I'm not really concerned about where the roster is right now. I think guys want to come to play at Illinois. I think Adam Miller was a little bit of an exception. That was a weird circumstance. But I think guys like Brad, guys like the type of coach that Brad is, guys see, I mean, how much fun it would be to play with Andre Curbelo and Kobe Coburn. The culture at Illinois that they tried to build over the last 4 years, it's kind of finally being there. I think guys want to play here. We just have to see. We have to wait.
Yeah, but I do think this next class is going to be pretty important that he brings in, because there's a possibility like that next year we see Andre Curbelo and Kofi Coburn off the team.
Yeah,
because they're in the NBA.
That
it's not out of the question that Curbelo has a great
100%.
year, is a third team, second team All-American.
I think he showed a lot this year that I didn't expect it to, but I think if he gets his jump shot, like a consistent jump shot next year, which that's probably what he's working on, and limits his offensive turnover mistakes, he's a definite NBA.
Yeah, it's the same thing as Trent, where size is a concern.
Yeah, of course.
But he does so many more things.
Yeah.
Like, he is the ultimate playmaker.
Yeah.
And there are NBA teams that will be looking at him during this offseason, preparing for next year's draft, because he's worth a shot. And I know the small guard thing is like, it's an issue in the NBA where you want to get like 6'4", 6'5" sort of point guards, similar to why like Io has had success going into the draft,
right?
Because of his size, because he can do a variety of things. Curbelo still has speed. He has finishing ability. He has passing. There's a shot that next season we're looking at this team and like, who's going to score points? And I think that's more concerning. And ultimately, it comes back to like the Kofi Coburn argument, where if he leaves, everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
Up until then, though, I'm going to keep calm, and just ride the course.
Well, that's going to lead us to our second break. When we come back, man, Bulls basketball, the up and down since the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Am I happy with this team? Am I not? I don't even know. But it hurts to watch them. We're going to talk about that when we come back on Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive on 107.1 WPGU. Bulls are back in action today in about an hour and 10 minutes in Memphis, taking on the Grizzlies, the 26 and 25 Memphis Grizzlies, who, looking at the standings right now, are 8th in the Western Conference. Bulls sit at 22 and 30, 10th in the Eastern Conference. They are 4 games behind the Knicks, who are in 8th place currently. Yesterday was their last game. Trying to look at the score. They played yesterday. They lost to the Timberwolves 121 to 117. Timberwolves, the worst team in the league. A game where the Bulls they didn't lead. They led in the first quarter, and that's pretty much it. They weren't able to keep up with this Timberwolves team. Made it close at the end, but cannot sustain that momentum to bring them the win. This is coming after a loss to the Hawks, and they had previously, before the Hawks game, won 3 in a row. But yeah, it's just been tough. It's been tough since the trade deadline. I think defense has been this team's biggest issue, and that was not addressed at the trade deadline. I mean, you get Daniel Tice, but you lose somebody like Wendell Carter, and even, gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now, Daniel Gafford, who offered you some rim protection. Now you don't really have a lot of rim protection. I mean, you have Daniel Tice, but that's pretty much it. And it shows, man. I mean, both Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell had 27 last night, I think. When the Bulls played the Hawks, Trae Young had 40, even though Zach LaVine had 50. I'm trying to think. Ricky Rubio's on the Timberwolves right now. I forgot. He had a certain number of threes. I can't tell you right now, but he scored. He scored 17 points. Naz Reid scored 18. I mean, there was just guys who shouldn't be scoring that much. And it was really tough. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns almost had a triple-double, 27, 12, and 8. You're just not going to – it's not winning basketball. I mean, as much as people say, like, defense is going away in the NBA, you just can't be atrocious on defense. And they're atrocious on defense.
Yeah, but it's more than that, because if you look at where the Bulls rank in the NBA defensively, they're 18th. They're about average.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not obviously not a good defensive team, but they're about an average defensive team.
Mm-hmm.
But their offensive rating 17th.
Yeah.
And it's because you're only getting offense from two players right now.
Yeah.
Getting from Zach LaVine, you're getting it from Nikola Vucevic. And yes, Larry Markkinen will come in and out and have some good games. He needs to be more involved. That's part of it. But there's not another playmaker on this team right now. And it's one of the reasons why I'm hoping Kobe White just becomes more assertive as a distributor, because right now Zach LaVine is the guy setting up other players, which isn't Zach LaVine's real strength
at all.
I mean, he's known as a guy that can score, and obviously because he's putting up incredible numbers this year, but he's also being given the task of finding other guys scoring opportunities. There needs to be, it would have been nice if that was addressed as well, a point guard that could distribute the ball better. Maybe you got to switch up lineups and have Satoransky be a primary point guard for some of these down minutes that Zach LaVine's not in. But I like when Satoransky plays with Zach LaVine.
No, I do.
They work really well.
They work really well, but then you run into the issue where with the reserve guys, you're not playing them in a situation where they get the ball. I mean, like Kobe White, love Kobe White, is an off-ball scorer. Mm-hmm. That's what he is. Same with Larry Markkinen. I mean, you need to find him in his spots in order for him to get going. So it's just really tough. And
does this become a situation maybe where you just have to separate Zach LaVine and Vucevic, so at least one guy is on the court for like 45 of the 48 minutes?
I would think so, but that's so tough because you've seen flashes of what they can be together.
Yeah.
In the pick and roll. I mean, these are guys who can score at all three levels, both of them. So them in the pick and roll having 6 different avenues to score is so dangerous. But I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have any other sustainable winning talent on this team to kind of rally around when those two guys aren't on the court. So it's very, very hard. But I don't even think it's just that. I mean, love Zach, but he's not some phenomenal defender, right?
Not. And it seems like his defense has kind of regressed.
It's regressed since the beginning of the year. I feel like the beginning of the year he was playing a lot aggressive, and now probably because he's had to, step up so much on the offensive end, he has to step a little bit back on the defensive end.
Also, maybe like a motivational factor.
100%. Vucevic also isn't the greatest defender. So having them on the court at the same time kind of hurts. I mean, Kobe White could not guard Trae Young in the second half for anything, man. I mean, and it was apparent, and then, they couldn't switch. The Bulls don't have a lot of switchable players, which hurts them a lot because, I mean, you put a guard on Vucevic and, it's not going well.
It's over.
You put a guard on Larry Markkinen, it's not going well. So I don't know. I'm not Billy Donovan. I don't have any answers, but this is very frustrating because I feel like in the beginning of the year we saw glimpses that this team could be a playoff contending team. And right now they don't look like they deserve to be.
Yeah, it would be nice to have like those David Nwaba type guys that they've had in the past where they fit a specific role. It's David Nwaba, come in, play defense, and then on offense, roam around a little, maybe get a few layups. But your primary job is to take away the best scorer on the other team, the best perimeter scorer.
I think
there isn't that guy now.
Yeah. I think Troy Brown is kind of fitting that mold a little bit, but I mean, he's not enough. I mean,
he's also not going to be able to guard like the Trae Young of the world.
I don't know. I don't know the answer, but it has been very like frustrating to watch because on like when Vucevic came over here, and I still like the move. I'm in love with the move. I think that the potential there is amazing. But Zach LaVine and Vucevic with the team around them just can't be successful. And that means that in the summer, some guys are going to have to go.
Yeah, and what's weird is that with this team, you have good defenders, but they're concentrated. Like, it's really just wing defenders.
Yeah.
It's Patrick Williams and Troy Browns of the world. Like, those guys that could play great defense on wings, which is so valuable because wings are very important. The Kevin Durant's, the LeBrons, the Kawhi Leonards of the world.
They run the league.
Yeah, they're gonna torch you if you don't have the guys to counteract that. The problem is, though, it's a guard-heavy league as well.
Yeah.
And there isn't one guard I feel super comfortable with defensively. I probably Satoransky the most.
Yeah.
But even him, like, he's big, but he's not going to be able to stay with the Steph Currys and Trae Youngs, and Kyrie Irvings of the world, the really quick guards that just get to their spots.
And I mean, that's who you've seen have huge games against the Bulls. Trae Young, Steph Curry, Kyrie. Trying to think when they played Donovan Mitchell, I'm sure he had a really good game. But just you can't, and that's so tough because while this league is run by wings, I mean LeBron's, KD's, Tatum's, Durant's, it's also so good in the guard.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you really go from here because you look at, your three main guards in Kobe, Satoransky, and Zach, and you don't really feel comfortable with them defensively on any of these number one guard options.
Lineup changes probably have to be the thing. Maybe you just don't have an answer for the guards, but at least with lineups, you could, as we've talked about, try to avoid the Zach LaVine, Vucevic pairings through like the first 3.5 quarters, and then you can put them together down the stretch.
Yeah,
where they're going to be great together in the pick and roll, but utilize them to the max because you can play each guy like 32 to 34 minutes each game, no problem. But you also have a Daniel Tice that can fill that role really well, and you can have Satoransky be your backup point guard and be able to still get guys like Lauri Markkanen and Kobe White involved. It's just concerning that you have to be so exact and that you basically have to be perfect with your rotations and you have to be perfect throughout some of these games to beat the better teams. They're able to beat inferior opponents. The problem is when you face even the Atlanta Hawks of the world, these 500 and better teams, it becomes really tough for the Bulls.
I don't know. I think that this is a problem that we're going to see until when's this regular season over? June?
I know none of
I know none of the schedule. It's weird.
When the trade deadline came, I was like, "Oh my god, the trade deadline!" Like
it was so arbitrary. But yeah, I think this is genuinely something that the front office and even Billy Donovan need to look at as a free agency, as a trade market type thing when the season's over. If that means you can't extend Lauri Markkanen, like that is what it is. I'm actually really big fan of Daniel Tyson. I think you should probably extend him before you extend Lauri Markkanen. And then Kobe White, that whole situation, as much as I do love Kobe White, that might not be a long-term solution for the Bulls.
It feels like he might be an off-season trade.
Yeah, and that sucks. But, I mean, it is what it is. To me, you got to do whatever you can do to get, like, a Lonzo-type player, some guy who doesn't need to score heavy, can if he needs to, but doesn't need to. Someone who's really focused on the pass and somebody who can also play really good defense, something that Lonzo can do.
That's still like a sign and trade possibility.
I think they could do it. And I think that's something that they really want to do. People were like kind of upset about it that they didn't, trade Kobe and Lauri for Lonzo. But here's the Pelicans. Do you really want Lauri? Mm-hmm. He's expiring at the end of the year. Do you want to, run that risk of him not re-signing? Do you even want him as a talent in the first place?
Well, I mean,
I don't see how he fits into that team.
You at least have his rights. You have his restricted rights, so you can sign him again. But yeah, as you said, like, I mean, if you're the Pelicans, like Lauri Markkanen feels like he's just this guy that you've seen. He's gonna get you like 16 points a game. Yeah. He'll shoot like 37, 38, which is something I will never understand. He should be like a 42% 3-point shooter. Like a borderline 50, 40, 90 guy that averages 20 points per game. That's just what I expected to see. But he hasn't lived up to it. And even with Billy Donovan, it makes you wonder if we've just seen his peak at this point.
Yeah, I think so. And especially, that coupled with, his history of injury problems, not being able to stay on the court for full seasons. It's tough, man, because you saw him his rookie year, and you're like very, very excited about the possibility of what he could be. But it just seems like there's been no development since then. And
yeah, I mean, his second year, he had injuries, but he seemed to be at least building on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Then Jim Boylan happens. We know all about that. Yeah. Terrible last season. He had a great start to this season.
Yeah.
And then he just
gets injured and comes back and doesn't really fit. It's tough. But, I mean, we'll see. This is obviously not a team that we're going to see late into the summer. Isn't probably, if I had to guess right now, isn't a team we're going to see in the playoffs.
Do you think they'll make the play-in game?
Is it the 10 seed cutoff?
Yeah.
No. I think they just missed it by like a game and a half, maybe less. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. I mean, like, playoff caliber teams don't lose to the Timberwolves the way they lose to the Timberwolves.
Yeah, but it's the East also. I think that's important to note because the East, like, especially the 10 spot, hasn't been great.
Right.
The last couple of years. The teams competing with them, like the Raptors, the Wizards, the Cavs.
I feel like the Raptors have kind of given up. That's just me. I mean, they made
except Gary Trent.
Yeah, exactly. But they made a run where they started off very poorly, but then they made it all the way into the playoff seeds, and then they've kind of just flopped again.
The Norman Powell trade wasn't great.
Yeah, that was tough.
To show signs that we want to build. Also, like Masai Ujiri in the past has even said he's kind of looking forward to a rebuilding process, but when you get Kawhi Leonard, that kind of extends what you're going to do.
Happens. I mean, looking at these standings, you know, maybe they make that play-in game, you know, and then, I mean, if the 10th seed has to play the 7th seed, right now it'd be the Celtics.
Well, actually how it works is it's the 7 and 8 play. The winner of that makes the playoffs. The 9 and 10 play, the winner of that plays the loser of the 7-8.
In the playoffs? Oh, it plays the loser of the 7-8.
Yeah, to make the playoffs. So if you're the 7 or 8 team, you have to win one game.
Okay.
For the 9 or 10, you got to win 2 games to get in the playoffs.
So let me see this real quick. So it'd be the Celtics versus the Knicks.
Yes.
As much as I'm up on the Knicks right now and down on the Celtics, I still think the Celtics take that.
I don't know.
You don't know?
The Celtics have been...
They've been bad. They've been really bad.
It's a tale of two teams. It's one, you got extreme talent. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
2 of the best wings in the league. The other side, yes, you have a guy like Julius Randle that's been very impressive, but they also just have a lot of players that have fit well. Emmanuel Quickly, like he stands out.
Quickly, even Barrett has had a really good year.
Yeah, and they're a young team that just plays together, which, I mean, I think I'd probably take the Knicks right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I just feel like the Celtics' history of playoff experience.
Fair enough.
But then, so say whoever wins, right? The Pacers and Bulls play, right? The 9-10 play to play the loser.
Mm-hmm.
So the 9-10, do you feel confident right now? Because the Pacers aren't even that healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the Bulls beat the Pacers recently, which is a good sign, but I don't feel great about that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. One, who's guarding Sabonis?
Yeah.
Also, is Brogdon out right now?
I think so.
Okay, so when he comes back, that's a player that can defend Zach LaVine. Granted, Zach LaVine can still get to the rim, but Malcolm Brogdon's one of the best guys with his length and quickness that's going to be able to limit Zach LaVine. I don't feel great about that matchup. I'd probably pick the Pacers.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this Bulls team. Maybe they turn it around. I don't see it happening, though. But yeah, this has been the Monday edition of On I Drive. Me and Nithin. Tomorrow, I think Josh and Carson are the new Tuesday crew. So that'll be a fun thing. I'm sure they'll talk about this Trent Frazier news, get their takes in on it. But yeah, for me and Nithin, we'll see y'all Wednesday on I Drive 107.1 WPGU.